Fortunately, we at Warner Brothers had the freedom of doing any character under the umbrella of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. We came up under that umbrella with about 14 different characters. The first one was Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, and Sylvester the cat, working with Tweety, so that was a team. Coyote, the Roadrunner, Yosemite Sam, who worked with the popular character Bugs Bunny.
They showed me a picture of a little rabbit. He said, he's a tough little stinker, and we need a tough voice for him. So I said, why not? So I figured, which is the funniest, which is the toughest, the Brooklyn or the Bronx? So I put the two of them together.
And that's how Bugs Bunny came out, Doc.
He was a little stinker, and still is, I guess.
Mr. Jones, wait! Oh, please, wait! Oh, Mr. Jones, Frankie and Perry just aren't in it. You're my swooner dreamboat lover boy. Oh, may I have your autograph, please? Oh, may I? Oh, thank you, Mr. Jones.
This is John Canemaker for Camera 3. Today we are continuing our exploration into the animated cartoons of the boys from Termite Terrace, that being the nickname the cartoon directors gave to the Warner Brothers animation studio in Hollywood. Bugs Bunny, being sketched here by Chuck Jones, is one of the most famous cartoon characters ever to hit the screen.
And then usually the carrot. Actually, the easiest way to draw a Bugs Bunny is to draw a carrot and then hook a rabbit onto it, like so. You notice the pinky up, which is very important. It indicates a kind of an elegance about the rabbit, which is part of his character.
Bugs Bunny started off
The longest tenure of any cartoon director at Warner Brothers was held by Friz Freleng.
as cast as a rabbit who was defending himself against a hunter. I think that was the first cartoon was made, and was done by Tex Avery. I'm talking about the rabbit that finally ended up being the popular rabbit. There were Bugs Bunnies made prior to that wasn't even the same character really. He was a wild, insane character. And that was in the black and white days.
Time passed and the years were kind to Bugs Bunny, improving and streamlining not only his appearance, but his entire personality. This transformation is due not just to the drawing of the character, but to the tremendous amount of attention the directors placed on his behavior.
Once we have the drawing, and then we put down the drawing, we start to talk to the animator, then we have to decide how do these characters differ in terms of their postures, so that you know what the postures, by the way they stand, who are they, so that you can imitate them. In other words, you can imitate Daffy with this feeling, like he's got to move. Even when he's laughing, he's in a position to move away. They say Keaton, Buster Keaton's basic thing of, since he couldn't change his facial expression, practically everything he did was with his feet. So when he was like this, if he's going to move away or if he's going to jump up and down, so everything was done there, but the face had to stay still, so it had to be body. So then we discovered, we're not, we will steal from most any source. But Daffy, being a coward, then has bent legs like this and ready to go. Bugs Bunny, in the same situation, will rest all his weight on one leg and the other leg's out like this, and he brings it up and he takes a bite. And he says, "What's up, Doc?" Now that's where Tex Avery really established the character when Bugs came out and looked over Elmer's shoulder and took a bite out of the carrot and says, "What's up, Doc?"
Okay, Wabbit. Now I got you. What's up, Doc? I'm hunting wabbits. It's wabbit season. Oh, wabbit season, huh? Having any luck?
Bugs is being a counter-revolutionary. He's minding his own business. He's in a hole until somebody comes along and tries to take away his life or his foot or send him off in a rocket or something like this. And so he then counter-revolutions.
Chuck was a more sophisticated kind of a guy, and he started educating Bugs. He started using words that the average these and those guys don't even know, but Chuck knew. And he started injecting those into the character itself, and that we've had to pull back from that. Mine and Chuck Then we had to get back to the D's and Do's characters.
Leopold!
Each one drifted into a different direction, pulling away from the original concept of the character. We had to remind each other that what Bugs really was. So in the exchange of our thoughts and storyboarding, we worked together on storyboards, we would remind each other to get back on the track what Bugs really was. When Chuck did it, he was kind of a short-legged little rabbit, and he became a kind of a Groucho Marx.
By always starting him out as a rabbit and then letting him engage. He's more like Groucho Marx, perhaps. Of course, you realize this means war.
Into Las Vegas, San Bernardino. Of course, you realize this means war.
All of the characters and all of the stories, the continuing stories, the series, develop disciplines. That is, things that you, as Groucho Marx says, humor isn't so much what you do as what you don't do. You narrow the character down. When you think of a person like Chaplin, that little funny little costume he had, that he achieved all these miracles with that little bitty hat and that funny little outfit and so on. Curiously enough, the same Chaplin wore the same costume that Laurel and Hardy did. Laurel and Hardy wore derbies and the tight collar and the tight coats and big pants. No matter what shape they were, they all dressed that way, and yet they weren't. You'd never confuse them. It's a very good example of what is meant by body action, that you can tell the difference between Hardy and Laurel by this kind of thing or this kind of thing. You know which is which. So as you work, and as in the case of Bugs Bunny, why the Bugs Bunny thing was one of the basic disciplines was he starts out as a rabbit and then fights back.
Uh-oh. Of course, you know, this means war.
Y mi frena el tal momento y tranco delirante il suo duolo, il suo spavento sulla
Acoustically perfect.
sulla prova d'un rimorso.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be an unavoidable interruption in the program.
Well, now in What's Opera, Doc, we took the 14 hours of the Ring of the Nibelung, which Wagner's Ring of the Nibelung, which is an obstacle course in opera. And then this was all pre-recorded. It happened the Warners had an enormous orchestra there. They were doing something, I don't remember what it was, and we had a 60-piece orchestra, full symphony orchestra to do the music, and it was all pre-recorded and all worked out according to musical beats. Everything in it. There were 104 cuts, which is very unusual for a cartoon, in 6 minutes. And everything lived up to the music.
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Another discipline here was that it was the basic Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd situation, except that they were playing it as Wagner played and everybody had to sing their parts.
Kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit.
Kill the rabbit?
Mel Blanc is a fine musician, and that helped enormously. And Arthur Q. Bryan, who did Elmer, had one time been a boy chorister.
Almighty warrior of great fighting stock, might I inquire to ask him, what's up, Doc?
That was the rabbit.
I kind of enjoyed Bugs, though, as Brunhilde, when he got dressed up in one place in there and put a helmet on and wore these big, beautiful yellow locks and wore the helmet like Brunhilde and had enormous eyebrows. And he looked real kind of sexy and nice. He just played it right to the core, which is the way Bugs hopefully did everything. He was playing Brunhilde, by God, he was Brunhilde.
All the way.
Yes, I know it. I can't help it.
Oh, Brunhilde, be my love.
When I did cartoons, I did them mostly with Yosemite Sam, who was more of an aggressive.
Whoa, Dragon, whoa!
Bugs was more on the defense.
Stupid dragon.
How's the water, Doc?
Open that bridge, varmint! Open it, I say! Close it! Close it! Close it up again! Okay, Rabbit. You forced me to use force.
In Fritz Freling's case, when he had the Yosemite Sam, who's an explosive character, you know, and he leaps up and says, "I hate wabbits!"
Quick! The singing sword's been stolen! Wake up, fire-breathing lizard! Now! Stop breathing on me, you idiot!
Yosemite Sam, toughest guy that ever shot a gumdrop.
I know how you got Yosemite Sam now, and that was because you just simply got inside of Frizz and studied his soul. If Frizz spoke the way he thought, that's what he would sound like.
Yeah.
That's why he could do Yosemite Sam, you know. He really explosive kind of a personality.
You idiot!
A major contributor to the personalities of the Warner characters, one might say the soul of the characters, was the voice expert Mel Blanc. His strong, recognizable voices created a link between the cartoons and the audience and gave a foundation of reality to the outrageous gags on the screen.
No, don't sneeze, you stupid dragon, or you'll blow us to the moon! Dragons is so stupid.
Adios. Have a nice trip. Bon voyage. Farewell to thee.
They always showed me the picture first and asked me to create a voice for it. Of course, they told me what the story was going to be, and then I would have to create a voice for it. I said if a pig would talk, he'd talk with a grunt. You know, a pig says, oink, 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 oink. That's why Porky got a voice. Then they showed me a picture of a big sloppy cat and a little baby bird. And so I went accordingly. I created the voice for little Tweety as a little baby. Ooh, I thought I saw a pretty cat. And Sylvester was sloppy, so I made him sloppy. You know, suffering succotash. You bet he thought, putty tat. That putty tatted me.
I thought I saw a pretty cat.
The little French skunk, they told me he was a great lover. So I gave him the lover's voice. It is the pussycat and kiss her.
Ah, c'est l'amour. Ah, c'est toujours. Ah, c'est l'amour. Huh?
And Speedy Gonzales was a little tiny Mexican mouse. So I made him a little mouse, talk very fast too, talk so fast you could understand what he's saying. Tink.
Ole, arriba, epa, epa, arriba, ándale.
Several characters appeared over the years in Warner shorts who, for a variety of reasons, did not sustain public interest and did not become big stars. Mark Antony, the Bulldog. A singing frog with plenty of personality was used in only one short, the allegorical One Froggy Evening.
The problem with One Froggy Evening was that we had to have a frog that was believable as a frog. It couldn't be just an anthropomorphic character, again, to use a rather gaudy term. That is a character who acts like a human being and walks like a human being. This had to be a real frog in order to be believable. So we had to study frogs, and if you remember as a kid, why any of you remember, if you ever picked up a frog, you know, they hang there and their little arms hang down like this, and they sort of sloppy and stuff like that. So we got the feeling that a frog who doesn't really divide in the middle very well, as most characters do, he doesn't have a head as separate from the rest of him. So what I did in this case was to try to figure out a character that was starting with a mouth, because he's a singing frog, and he's also rather cocky when he sings. He's a straight frog until he starts to sing, and then for a short time he becomes this mad guy, and he wears a top hat, dances along. But you'll notice that he doesn't separate. His head doesn't separate from his body, which is true of most of the frogs, and of course all reptiles when you come to think about it. So he danced sort of like this, carrying a cane in the old-fashioned vaudeville way. This would be the cane coming through here. And then usually your fingers are tapping your hat, the old vaudevillians did. So basically this was the way the character worked when he was in action. When he wasn't in action as a dancer and singer, why, he was, at the beginning of the picture, he's just a plain old frog, which is a big, massy kind of a thing like this. You may notice that frogs are wall-eyed, too. One eye always looks slightly away from the other, and they have this kind of a look to them. But they certainly don't look like they're going to do this, which is what he does. He goes from this action to this action, and that was the whole point about the frog. A real frog who suddenly jumps up and sings and dances.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
One of the greatest series of animated cartoons ever made are the Roadrunner and Coyote series, devised by Chuck Jones.
The coyote looks sort of like Bugs Bunny to start with, but he's got a real long nose. If you want to make somebody that looks starved, you take this, again, the same old pear shape, but it's a kind of a withered pear, and he's always looking sort of faintly disgruntled. Well, I'll put it this way, as someone said, if he's not disgruntled, he certainly isn't gruntled. The less that a person has to offer in the world, very often the more elegant the postures are. So you find a guy like the coyote, who is a pretty scrabbly guy, and probably the only animal in the world that has both kinds of ticks, a facial tick and the kind that carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever. What the hell, I'm putting a carrot in his hand. That won't do, will it? Well, let's just say that he's saying hello in his own language. In the background, you put a roadrunner, who also is based on the same principle, the little head, long neck, slightly pear-shaped body, tail up like so. Actually, the real roadrunner erects this comb of his only when he's going to fight or kill a rattlesnake or something, which they do. But I kept it up all the time. And the beep-beep, which is the only thing that's ever heard, is on these cartoons. So, like so, and then you bring the long legs up. They're sort of like flying fish of the land, the roadrunner is. An animal that goes at tremendous rates of speed, but really can't fly. They can only sail.
Beep, beep. Beep, beep.
This is the way this gives you some idea how the character developed. The original coyote was a four-legged animal who was like this, and we tended to call him Don Coyote. Fortunately, we didn't. But we were using the Latin description of him, Carnivorus vulgaris, and the Roadrunner accelerati incredibilis. But you can see that he changed an enormous amount. This looks more like the real bird looks, but he gradually became a little different, and this was awkward to animate, and it didn't look right. And this guy gradually stood up on his hind legs, but you notice that he was emaciated then, and I don't know why the tongue was sticking out. At any rate, we got rid of that. But the characters develop over a period of time.
Meep, meep.
In the case of the Roadrunner, Mike Maltese and I always felt that they should be kept in the southwestern American desert, although they seem like you can do marvelous things in the city or up in the Arctic or someplace like that. But not so. The characters had to remain in the southwestern American desert, and the more we narrowed it, the better it got. I mean, the more discipline you imposed, it seemed the wider the humor became. We kept them, the disciplines, and in the case of the Roadrunner and Coyote would be that the Roadrunner, being a Roadrunner, stays on a road, ipso facto. We impose that. The Roadrunner can leave the road, providing he draws a white line across the desert or puts a sign which says detour or something of that kind. Basically, the 7 or 8 disciplines that were employed, by and by, it almost came down to the idea the only enemy that the Coyote had was gravity. I mean, he was always falling off at things. The Roadrunner never harms the Coyote beyond coming up behind him and saying beep beep.
Meep, meep.
And then maybe he'd hit a spring and that would bounce him back and the whole thing would continue on. Also, we found out that there were 11 gags. By some curious coincidence, nobody knew why. In Hopalong Casualty, there was a marvelous thing, and a great animator named Ken Harris animated this, and again, the Roadrunner, the Coyote was trying to capture the Roadrunner, and he had a bottle of Acme earthquake pills. Fool your friends, it says, Acme earthquake pills. And so he put a bunch of them out there and then put a sign on saying bird seed. The Roadrunner came in and ate it, and the Coyote thought, well, I've got him, he's full of them. And but the Roadrunner went off, and then he looked at it, and he was disappointed in the thing. So he took the top off, and he put one in and swallowed it himself to see whether he was, and he hit himself on the side, so on. And then being completely disgusted and damn fool too, he drank them all. Then terrible things happened. Do I miss the characters of Warner Brothers? Yeah, of course. When you spend so much time with them, they become very much the part of your life, and you get involved with them. Also, you've seen them develop. So each one of these characters became endearing, and you got to understand them and like them. And all of a sudden, the rug came out from underneath it. Jack Warner, in some brilliant piece of his own logic, decided to close the cartoon studio, presumably for economic reasons. However, the Bugs Bunny show has been on networks one way or the other, not one way or the other, one way. That is primetime television, either on Saturday or on primetime in the evenings since 1956. And it just seems to me that these characters are still very much alive, and the people that did them are very much alive. Fritz Freeling obviously could do Yosemite Sam's and Tweety Bird and Sylvester's and stuff, And I'd love to be able to do the Roadrunner and Coyote, some more short subjects. It'd be more expensive, but it seems to me like a good investment. But the wisdom of the present Warner Brothers management seems to indicate differently.
I do believe that the cartoon of the 40s and the 50s still is dominant in their humor. I think people still enjoy, adults, children alike, still enjoy these things, although they're put on. You very seldom see a cartoon in a theater anymore because the theaters just don't buy them because they have one big picture and they don't want to take up the time with a cartoon.
And the only times that I've been allowed to do it, to do any Roadrunner and Coyotes, was to do 4 or 5 little segments for the electric company 2 or 3 years ago. It's kind of interesting because in a way the Roadrunner and Coyote were considered too violent to be used on network television, but they were not considered too violent to be used on a children's television workshop program, the electric company. So in a way it's kind of a justification. If you need a justification, I don't think we do.
Today, animation flourishes around the world as an industry on television and in theatrical feature films, and as a medium of personal expression by independent artist filmmakers and other communicators. The conditions of financing and distribution that made the Warner shorts possible no longer exist, so we will probably never see their like again. The boys from Termite Terrace expanded the emotional horizons of the new art of animation, and their work represents a very joyful chapter in the history of that art. The continuing, overwhelming popularity of the films and the public's affection for the characters is the ultimate tribute that can be paid to the special genius of the boys from Termite Terrace.
What have I done? I've killed the rabbit. Poor widow Bonnie. Poor widow rabbit.
Well, what did you expect in an opera? A happy ending?